and the northeast of Tyneside, Deeside, whatever they call it up there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely if Carrick doesn't get a win, or God help him if he lost this game, I mean, definitely alarm bells going at that point. As I mentioned before, I just think there's a massive hangover right now. This would be the game to get the monkey off the back, but I mean, Huddersfield haven't got any points as of yet, have they? So I don't know. I mean, it didn't even factor into my thinking about, obviously Warnock was manager there last season, but you know full well he's going to be very much up for this one with a point to prove, as you've said. Um, and just see them frustrating Middlesbrough, and it just seems like they're in that run of form right now, Borough, where Huddersfield at home should be an easy game, but could be a very much tricky one with the way Neil Warnock likes to play his football.
Take a look back at the weekend's drama with plenty of upsets, of course, with Coventry. They bounced back. Of course, I tried to put Robbins under the bus last week, but it could be actually, because last week we did discuss the first manager to be sacked. Now maybe the spotlight's hovering over Michael Carrick, of course, back-to-back defeats after their whopping loss, 3-0 loss on that game. What are your thoughts about that, result and maybe the future of Michael Carrick?
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, I've seen online apparently there's been 7 games now in the league since they've got a win, Middlesbrough. Obviously they had that really good run when he first come in, and it's just died off. And it seems they've had a bit of a hangover coming into this season. It's a result that Coventry needed, really. Selling Hamer, selling Gyökeres, bit of a statement result that even though they've lost 2 of their best players, if not their best players, they've lost them both. To bounce back against a very game Middlesbrough side and beat them 3-0 is definitely a statement to me. But yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with Middlesbrough at the minute. I don't think any of us saw this coming. A lot of people tipping them for automatics this season. Just need that win, I guess, and then you would think they would go on to do well. But yeah, I think just a bit of a hangover.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to keep abreast of what's going on over in some of the other championship sides, including Middlesbrough, and it looks like the top man Akpom could be off. Sheffield United looking at him, and some other overseas clubs, so that could be a major sticking point because I think he was the top goal scorer last season. So losing him, or maybe just the thought of losing him, because he's not been involved, I think, since the start in the first couple of games. So I think maybe that's playing on their minds or kind of disrupting the camp a little bit. So yeah, work to be had, I think, at the Riverside, and I think it doesn't get much easier this weekend. We'll of course look at the next weekend's games. Birmingham, though, catching everyone's eye right now as well with a cheeky lastminute.com winner against a Leeds United side, again stumbling in the first couple of games. Thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, from what I got told, Sinisterra and Nonto weren't playing this game on the bench, and it does seem a bit of a dissettled squad. Obviously, probably, I mean, forcing for a move, the pair of them, and probably Leeds' 2 best players really. Believe Somerville's injured as well, who obviously got that last minute equaliser in the first game for Leeds. What's a massive blow, really, isn't it? Burst onto the scene last season in the Prem, and at this level, a very good player, you would think, but that's going to be a massive blow. So, yeah, I mean, it's not looking good for Leeds right now. Obviously, 2 games and only 1 point. I mean, Birmingham away, obviously, they've had the takeover and whatnot. They are on a high, and it was a penalty that separated 2, but you would be expecting more from Leeds, even with Nanto and Sinisterra not in the squad. But might be a case of getting to the end of the transfer window. Like I think you mentioned this last week, knowing what they've got, and then starting to kick on.
Yeah, and of course, before we will completely forget about the point of this, I'm doing all right here in the predictions. Here, I've got a couple of bang on, but a couple of results quite close to the mark. So we'll see. I don't know if it will continue though. So basically, I got two out of two so far. But hey, not bragging. anything just yet. Cardiff against QPR. I think we all predicted a defeat for QPR. But this is the Championship, and this is just why this is probably. I know we want to get out of this division. It is one of the most feistiest divisions in the league because QPR against every better judgment coming up with a 2-1 win on the road. Gareth Ainsworth bouncing back. Has he actually got a hope in heck of sticking as manager to the end of the season, or do you just think this was just one of those days?
Well, I mean, like I said to you, I think this result was going to say a lot about this QPR squad, whether they're playing for him or not. Because after that absolutely horrendous first game against Watford, they had to bounce back here, and to go to Cardiff and get a result is definitely a statement, and fair play to them. I didn't think they were playing for the manager really after that first game. Being 4-0 down at half time is, nothing short of a disgrace really. But to go away to Cardiff, not an easy ground to go to. Fair trek for him, obviously, and to get a result shows to me that they must be playing for him. So things could be on the up for QPR. I mean, everyone's obviously doubting him. Everyone's obviously got him to go down. As we said last week, we both think Gareth Ainsworth will probably be the first manager to go. But after a result like that, we may have to start thinking differently.
Yeah, so it's a great response, and again, two tricky away games I think for QPR now out of the way, and of course I think we'll confirm. I think they might be actually Loftus Road next week to maybe give the home fans something to look forward to. Millwall against Bristol City, another bit of a surprise. Another manager who could be facing a bit of a pinch right now is, of course, Gary Rowett. Another defeat for Millwall, 1-0 loss again. Both of us predicted at least something for Millwall, but Gary Rowett. Now again, it's just so crazy how a couple like last season, Millwall on the brink of promotion or brink of the playoffs. Same with Middlesbrough, and both of them now started off very rusty. With not the greatest results. So Rowett now, what are your thoughts on that game and Bristol City? Let's give them some respect.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously they got that really good result. Well, we thought it was a good result, Millwall away at Middlesbrough. They got that win, didn't they? But I mean, Bristol with somewhat of a response, I suppose, after losing Alex Scott. What was obviously a big blow, big money signing, and gives us some food for thought on what we could potentially get for Adam Wharton, I guess. But a bit of a response there. Definitely one of the hardest away days. Going to the Den. We have a good record there for whatever reason, but for most clubs, one of the hardest ones. And weird to see Millwall go away and win, but lose at home. But I wouldn't say the pressure's on too much. I think a lot of people obviously expecting Bristol to do something this season, I guess. Maybe that's changed now that Alex Scott has gone, but definitely a response. And I mean, they got that win against Middlesbrough, so I wouldn't think there'd be too much pressure on Rowett at the minute.
Yeah, good recollection. I thought they lost. I completely forgot about that. Epic. That is a good result against Middlesbrough Riverside. So, but probably the game of the day, besides the one at Rotherham, was at St Mary's, 8-goal thriller. I've written, fair play to Southampton fighting back for Adam Armstrong, scoring a couple of goals. Penalties though, he's up and running. And I don't think he's going anywhere, even though Ipswich were touted. But 4-4, epic game. But probably the plaudits should go for Norwich. Stopping Russell Martin ball once again, who had a bit of a terrible week, knocked out the cup by Gillingham. Now, of course, stuttered start at home, but this division is tasty, and some of the big boys really, not really finding their feet early doors, despite maybe the expectations of bigger establishments such as Sky Sports, who are giving Martin too much plaudits maybe too soon.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, obviously, you look at last season with Burnley under Vincent Kompany, they had a bit of a staggered start, didn't they? And then it just took took a couple months or so to get knowing the style of play, get it going. You can see potentially the same thing happening here. I'm not Russell Martin's biggest fan by any means. I don't like that style of football, but if he manages to keep hold of Ward-Prowse, some of these other big players, they should absolutely piss this league, really. But I mean, from what I've seen, really shabby defending apparently from Southampton. But fair play to Norwich to go away to St Mary's and get 4 goals. It takes some doing that, and I'm not sure many other teams will manage this season.
No, and I think Ward-Prowse is on his way out, so that battle is near impossible. Lavia is another one that they could lose. Livramento, they've already lost him, so it is about, again, kind of like seeing who's going to be there at the end of it, and then also replacing some of those bodies, which might prove difficult. With they might have all the money, but they might not have all the time to get those replacements. So they got to be savvy in the market. Let's kick on forward to a couple of teams that kicked off with a flyer in their opening weeks, and that's of course Watford and Plymouth. Cheeky 0-0 draw for Plymouth at Vicarage Road. Again, started the season well. Again, for against my better judgment, I thought they would be strugglers, but grinding out a nice cheeky 0-0 at one of the promotion favourites.
Yeah, I think that's a really good result for Plymouth. Obviously, I said after beating Huddersfield at home, going away to Watford would be the first real challenge. From what we've seen from Huddersfield, it does seem like that's going to be one of the easier games. So to go to Watford, grind out a 0-0, I think that's a good result and shows Plymouth aren't going to be the whipping boys, I suppose. They could have quite easily, Watford, done Plymouth in like they did QPR in, but they've showed that they've obviously got a bit about them, I suppose, to go there and get a 0-0. So I'm pleasantly surprised with that, I would say.
Yeah, good strong result on the road. Next up, we've got Huddersfield Town, Leicester. Of course, one of the main tips for the title, just doing their business productively with a cheeky 1-0 away win against Huddersfield Town. I didn't really see the game here, so I'm not too sure all the stats, to be fair. In fact, I could have a look at the stats now, but 1-0 might be more of a positive sign for Huddersfield, only to lose by that small deficit. But Stephen Mavidi, it was one of my tips, like for our segment in a minute about ones to watch coming from Ligue 1. Spent a bit of money on them to get him over here. I have not chosen him, but he's up and running. He's got his first goal, and Leicester currently, I think, top the table with their 2 wins out of 2 status. So, but it's pretty much business as we would expect from Leicester. They've started brightly, unlike Leeds, unlike perhaps Southampton to a point, but yeah, they could be they could cruise this league by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's a decent result. That I mean, it's a hard away day, Huddersfield, and I've thankfully got that one on the money with my prediction there. I did think Leicester would go there, Huddersfield would frustrate, and they'd just nick a goal and yeah, just run, I suppose, nick a goal and get out of there. But yeah, I think Ipswich are just above them, but I think they're the only 2 teams to get maximum points so far. So I mean, obviously, it's been a decent couple games. Been obviously with the Coventry result this week against Middlesbrough, that shows how good that win was last week for Leicester beating Coventry. So positive so far for sure, and it seems like out of the 3 sides that have come down, Leicester, as a lot of people have predicted, probably looking the strongest so far anyway to bounce straight back up. Leeds, obviously a bit of a mess at the minute, and Southampton looking a bit staggered, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it seems very positive at the moment. And again, new coach. Again, a lot of question marks were raised about the coach, but 2 wins out of 2 is going to kind of remove, or at least get rid of the spotlight for a while. Hull City against Sheffield Wednesday. Hull, our next opponents. Turned on the goals. 4-2 win over Sheffield Wednesday. Both you and I went with a draw on that one, but we'll talk about the game as well for next week later. But Turfan, Turkish international. They, of course, I think they're owned by some Turkish businessmen, but hat trick from him from midfield. And again, Hull, started off 1-1, lost 1. Wednesday, starting to, prove some people right with their relegation candidates, but 6 goals and all in that one.
Yeah, really interesting game. I mean, I was thinking, obviously, Southampton was it's a hard match to look at Sheffield Wednesday, but to go away to Hull and concede 4 with a bit of a grudge match, both Yorkshire teams, is surprising. But they do have some quality, to be fair, Hull. A lot of people tipping them for dark horses, aren't they? And a bit of a statement result, really. But as you've said, is this what we're going to see from Sheffield Wednesday all season? I suppose obviously that's 2 losses out of 2 now, and yeah, not many positive signs really.
No, but at least they got a couple of goals. At least again, both of you and I got the one wrong. Ipswich against Stoke again. Ipswich, like you said, 2 for 2 for them. I wasn't seeing it. I went the other way. 2-1 win for Stoke. You got it pretty close. 2-1 win for the Potters. Not the Potters. What do they call themselves? I don't know. What's their nickname? You know. That's right. Yeah, well done. Dug that out of nowhere. And yeah, it was a 2-0 win. They're doing it. At the minute, they started brightly. And again, I don't think they're doing that much business so far. They're like flashing the cash, or you're saying that they've got all the cash, but I don't think they've made any. Besides the guy from Peterborough, I think his name's Taylor or whatever, it was a big signing for them in midfield. I don't think they've really done. Of course they brought in Hurst, whatnot, but still, like safe signings. I've not seen them go elaborate with their cash just yet. But hey, 2 for 2. The points are there. They're up there in the top 2 spots early. But yeah, 2-0. You predicted them to win. Happy with that so far?
Yeah, I think they're just riding a high right now, aren't they? They're on that really good run. I saw something on Twitter like they're the most informed team in Europe right now, or something like that. In all the leagues, or something daft, even more informed than Man City in the last 15, 20 games, or something ridiculous. I think if they'd have made that Adam Armstrong signing, that would have been a big statement. I think, like you're saying, the transfer business isn't really doing it for me either. I do question when they do eventually get that loss. Is that gonna be is it just a flash in the pan? They're riding a high right now. If they get that loss, are they going to bounce back? Are they going to pull the straps up? Because at the minute, it doesn't seem like obviously anyone can stop them. They're that impressive win going away to Sunderland. Stoke obviously got a really good win against Rotherham, and they've dispatched of them. So I suppose we'll see once they get that loss. Well, I think we'll know then after how they respond from that, how Ipswich are going to do this season.
Yeah, how well are Sunderland going to do? Of course, I think that's 2 defeats on the spin for them, for Tony Mowbray's boys. And again, we did highlight the managers last week with potentially the hot seat. Somebody did comment on our little clip there that Tony Mowbray could be already under a bit of pressure. He's brought in Joe Bellingham, who hasn't really, again, I don't know if it's just the name. A lot of hope and expectations put on his shoulders. But 2 defeats out of 2. Again, that first win needs to come pretty soon before I think the international break, or he could be in amongst that in that bracket of first casualty. And that's why as a Rovers fan, I'm grateful that we are up and running with a win at least, because that mental issue or just trying to get over the line with a win can be the difference between a good season or a terrible season. But so far, terrible start for Sunderland and Mowbray.
Yeah, just get that monkey off your back, getting the win, doesn't it? That was always the thing with us. Obviously, we had that terrible run of not winning our opening game, but past 3 seasons we've managed to win all 3 of them. What's been nice, hasn't it? But yeah, I think Mowbray could be a good shout for the first casualty. It's not one I thought of, just simply because I think they did overachieve last season, getting playoffs. Newly promoted side getting playoffs, you can't sniff at that. And he'd come in. He didn't start the season with Sunderland. He come in midway through after Neil left. But obviously this summer there's been murmurings about whether he wanted to move him on, get someone else in, a bit more of a project manager, because it's a case of how long Mowbray's going to stick around, I suppose, and do they trust him to get them up and take them that step higher and win the playoffs, or potentially push on to automatics, get someone who's a bit more ambitious, maybe a bit more of a track record, a bit of a younger manager. So obviously with the murmurings, and I think maybe they didn't do it because of the playoffs. I do question if they'd have missed out. I think Mowbray could well be out of a job right now. I think the fans may have turned if they'd have got rid of Mowbray. I think a lot of Sunderland fans were saying he deserves his chance this season. But I think, like you're saying, there's a good chance if it's gets to the international break and it's just not looking right, they may pull the trigger because it seems like they've already made their mind up.
Yeah. There was a lot of question marks around his future despite that success, and maybe you could probably look at it if they finished 10th. That might have been acceptable, and then it might have given him a bit of extra time early this season. But because of the 6th place finish, they probably want to see that positivity continue and keeping the fans on the side. So I have not looked. I did look a little bit in the Sunderland comments when they got lost in the cup. I was just because I was interested in Dak and see how he was getting on, but I did look at the comments from Sunderland about their loss against Preston. And again, Preston, good result for them as well, up and running with the win. And their new forward, I don't know if he's a striker or a forward, Frank Janssen, he's up and running, got his first goal. Will Keane as well, he's doing all right. That could prove to be a shrewd bit of business from Wigan, but anyway, we'll elaborate on those in a little bit. Of course, our game of the day, 2-2 thriller. First half shocking, second half crazy. Rescued a point, I think. Kind of very lucky with that red card when you look back at all that mess. But 2-2, you would have taken that at half time, surely.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm not sure if I would have wanted a draw before the game. Like I said, I think on paper it's probably one of the easier away days. But yeah, I think I've watched the fouls that were committed for the 2 bookings, and I think they can find themselves a little hard done by. That is 2 red cards in 2 games. Well, now for Rotherham, what's not a good sign, is it? But if it's not 10 men, do we go on to get the draw? Who knows? But it was good for Smodics to redeem himself after a really poor ball for that first goal, wasn't it? So I guess we'll see. Good to just get something, and it showed a lot about the team to come back from being 2-0 down, because that is something we didn't see enough of last season at all. 6 points from losing positions last season, and 3 of those were the very last game. What were just a mental game, weren't it? So we've already got 1 point back against Walsall. We went 1-0 down, 2-1 down. We bounced back. So if that's something we sort this season, that could prove big difference.
Yeah, and that was great points there. The mentality of Rovers last season was poor when holding a lead. We only we didn't really blow people away and open up the gaps a little bit. But the fight back for Rotherham was fantastic. Even though 10 men, I was hopeful that we could get a goal back, but I was thrilled to bits for the second goal. And yes, for Smodic, who is now the face of the place. No more Diaz, no more Dak. It is him. And I think he knows that. He's there. He's dyed his hair, bleached his hair. He is the star of the videos, of the social media. He is it. So great response from him, getting his first couple of goals. And we were cruising for nothing before that. But hey, let's hope it is the start of a goal scoring spree for him. I'd love to see him get up there in the double digits, which. He's 20% of the way there. My maths is shocking. Is that right? Yeah. All right. The last one. The last one has got West Brom Swansea. I think this was also another goal fest. 3-2 for West Brom. I think they were cruising at one stage. Swansea with a bit of fight back. I'm just trying to see what time the goals went in on this one. For whatever, I can't see it. There it is. Last I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. Swansea came back, but West Brom were cruising at one stage. 3-2 final score, 2-0 win in your eyes, 1-0 win for me. Not too bad in our picks, but once West Brom bouncing back, Swansea, again, 1-1 lost one, I think, so far. No, actually, just the 1 point so far for the new regime. But good fight back for West Brom from their opening day loss to us.
Yeah, I thought that would happen as I predicted. Went with the West Brom win, and like I put in my predictions for the season, I'm not sure how much I rate this Swansea side this season. Obviously, I've controversially put them to go down this season. I suppose we'll see. But good to show a bit of fight back. But yeah, I did think West Brom would react to that opening day loss to us. Didn't see much at Ewood Park, I'll be honest, but to go 3-0 up is obviously a good sign. But obviously equally letting two win at home when you're 3-0 up cruising is equally as bad, I suppose, isn't it?
All right, well, here is the Super Brew, and it is even Stevens. Both of us 16.5. Hang on a minute. That's for this week, just this week. The actual leaderboard. Where is the actual main leaderboard here? So you got, actually no, tell a lie. That is actually the leaderboard. We are both on 16.5 after 2 rounds. You won the first or the second round here. You got 6.5 points. I got 6 points. And of course, the first round, I nicked it by half a point. So I thought I would get more points than that, to be honest with you. I'm not 100% sure this is correct. Let's have a look. So this is me. So I got that right. Did I really get all these wrong? What did I go here? Pick a draw. It's about right, probably. Yeah, okay. It's true. Yeah, early days, yeah, Jack. But hey, but it's tight. I'm glad it's a feisty, pretty even sort of contest so far. But we'll see how we get on in the next match day. Okay, so the feature for this week is, of course, the players to watch out in the Championship. There's a lot of movement still, a lot of youngsters moving. Of course, we've got Adam Scott from Bristol City. He's on the move now. He's over at Bournemouth. So one of the young talents in the division is no longer here. Spotlight maybe pushing onto some other young hot prospects. But what about the guys who are maybe approaching their prime or beyond, maybe above the category of youngster? So I tasked Jacob to pick up his candidates for players to watch this season from around the division. And you've chosen to start us all off with this guy, of course, a familiar face to us, unfortunately. Nathan Teller, last season Burnley, this time around, currently with Southampton, his parent club. Why have you put the spotlight on this guy? If we need an ugly.
Yeah, I think he's proven last season, hasn't he? He's probably too good for this league. I think Burnley have obviously wanted to get him back, and Southampton are frustrated. But you can't really blame him for not wanting to let him go, because he is a guarantee in this league, isn't he? I mean, what did he get? 15 goals or so probably last season. Very dangerous winger, and it showed. And especially at Turf Moor. There's that photo of him to hire him, isn't there? Which I think is etched in a lot of Rovers fans' brains. So no love for him at all, but you got to appreciate the quality he's got at this level. And the fact Burnley wanted to obviously bring him back to the Prem says it all, really. And for some reason, I do think he'll stay. I feel like Burnley have maybe moved on from it now. So he should definitely be one of the players of the years this year, if not the player of the year.
Yeah, and Southampton, of course, of course, a team that should be competing at the top of the table. So you would imagine players such as him and Adam Armstrong and the like grabbing the headlines. Yeah, he did actually got 19 goals in all competitions last season. As Burnley steamrolled the division, unfortunately, and he was a big part of that. Just 24 years of age as well. Coming down the right-hand side, I think, is his preferred position on the field. I'm just trying to think if he's actually how many has he started already this campaign, or is he in the spotlight, or are there still concerns that he will remain in this division? I think that's probably, like you said, Burnley may have moved on. They have been a little bit active in the transfer market. But I'm probably on the fence of thinking that he could be still one of these key players of Southampton that could move on, because they're gonna sell a few of their big boys, and again, it won't be until that window is shut to guarantee that he will be still part of the furniture. But wizard of a winger. What else can we say about this guy?
I mean, yeah, I think he's got the potential to carry this team, really. I mean, obviously, with Ward-Prowse looking like he's going to be on the way out, Lavia almost certainly going to be going, isn't he? He's not been featuring; he's been on the bench, hasn't he? So someone needs to step up. I think Che Adams as well. There's been talk of him leaving. Adam Armstrong's obviously seeming to do that. Nicked a goal off Teller, didn't he? You rather enjoyed that with the tweet on the first day. But yeah, I think he's just such a tricky winger, got an eye for goal, and he's good pace as well, hasn't he? So I think obviously your wide forwards are starting to be a lot more prevalent nowadays than your number 9, really. It's almost all the play starts to come through them nowadays with the style of football, and even in the Championship now. So I think they'll keep hold of him just simply because they're going to be losing some of their big boys, and this guy's proven quality. And if they do want to get automatics, what they should be aiming for, really, Southampton, he's going to be a big part to play if they do.
They do, yeah. And just looking at his numbers already, he's played every single minute of league football anyway, and he's already got himself his first assist. So I think yeah, he should be at least a candidate up there already to watch. I've just looked, his background for the future of international football is a little, he's English, of course, by birth, but he's got Nigerian heritage as well, so he could even feature for the Nigerian national team. At 24 years of age, definitely a talent to watch. And again, yes, that image of him with his, was it 3 fingers or whatever? I don't know, whatever it discussed. But anyway, it hurts. It hurts so much. But anyway, we'll move on to the next guy. And this is one I've gone with. Is Ethan Laird. He's a right back at Birmingham City who've I think burst out the blocks quite nicely. This guy's formerly of Manchester United, right back. And they picked him up for a good bargain, around about £750,000. And so far, a lot of the good stuff coming out of Birmingham, especially from the back, has been using his pace. And for me, he's one of the early standouts. And again, a lot of websites and Championship statistic people have him in the team of the season so far. And again, it's early. I know it's early days, but maybe some of the other bigger boys maybe missed a trick and not picking up a player of his quality. So good, shrewd scouting I would give to Birmingham on this one. I think they've been quite savvy. They've picked up a couple of other gems, and right now the mood at St Andrews seems very, very positive because they are new owners. They got Tom Brady, of course, big face in world sport. Seems to be very much involved, kind of taking a JJ Watt kind of approach like what's going on at Burnley right now. Not maybe as much as the Reynolds, what have you, with Wrexham, but still kind of getting in amongst the social media and starting creating some good positive vibes for Birmingham City. And chaps like this are doing continuing that off the field positivity on the field and rolling with it. Have you got any comments on Ethan Laird? Have you been made aware of him, or surprised to see how Birmingham have started so brightly?
Can't say I know much about him, but it seems a bit of shrewd business, as you said, from United. Obviously, good pedigree coming from that academy anyway. But I think it's definitely looking like things are on the up for Birmingham with, it's been over a decade now since they've been in the Premier League. They've just kind of been very stagnant in this league, never really made too many serious playoff pushes for quite a while now. And and obviously they are a big club, the second biggest city in England. They get decent numbers on. And I think that's the way things are starting to go now with ownership, getting these celebrities in. You see the guy at Bournemouth, the one who played was in Black Panther and all that. I forgot his name. Is Michael B. Jordan? Is it? Yeah, Michael B. Jordan. He's gone in there. It's just starting. Obviously, you've mentioned with Reynolds as well at Wrexham, starting to come kind of be that way. It seems celebrities getting involved with football. Obviously, that just as from a marketing standpoint is does a lot for the club. I mean, look how many people are following Wrexham now that Reynolds is involved. And obviously Tom Brady has huge standing. I mean, he's one of the few American footballers I would know by name, and that says a lot because I don't follow the sport at all. And I think a lot of people would say that as well. So it's looking like the way things are going there in terms of getting celebrities into ownership, but things are definitely looking on the up. It could be a bit of a dark horse season for Birmingham. I suppose we'll see, and having a good right back who can whip him into Jukovic up top isn't a bad thing, is it?
Yeah. And so far, of course, Birmingham, but in all competitions, just conceded the 1 goal, 3 games. That was against Swansea, but 2 man of the match, 2 for 2 man of the matches for this kid. So, and he's not much of a kid either. He's 24. Actually, tell a lie. He's 22. 22. So he kind of falls into that bracket, maybe just above young gun. Kind of trying to break it on the scene. So it is his time to shine. Following so many years on the books of Man United, and that seems to fall down on a lot of football prospects' shoulders. Chelsea are notorious for scalping up all the young talent, and hardly any of them making the breakthrough to the main team. And players such as this Tahiti Chong as well, who Birmingham had on the books. Who else? That Melsbury guy, Hannibal Melsbury. I don't know. I think he's now at Birmingham as well. So they've got a bit of a track record of taking some of the cast-offs from United and
Hannibal as well.
Yeah, and Dembele now with them. I know he wasn't part of that, but so far so good for Birmingham. I think you're right to kind of pigeonhole them as early outside dark horses, whatever you want to call it. So let's kick on forward. That's one of my tips for players to watch. Next up, we have this guy, Sinisterra. I know we talked about him early doors, that he could be make weight, or could not be he might not be in the division for much longer. I'm not keeping up to speed on his transfer situation. I know, is it Jack Harris? Is it Jack Harris on the books at Leeds? He's now been linked with a move to the Premier League. So what interests you most about this guy? He's 24 years of age, from Colombia. Of course, was Premier League last season. Come with a hefty-ish price tag. But if he was to remain in the Championship, what's gonna get us off our seat with this kid?
A lot of the same qualities as Teller, I would say. I mean, he's obviously not played in the Championship, but he did show some quality in the Prem. I think they got him in the January, I'm going to say. And they were getting very excited about him even in the Prem. So at this level, obviously has a lot to offer. It does seem like, as you're saying, he will be on his way out, not featured in the starting lineup. I think he was on the bench in the last game. So he's looking that way that he may be out the door, but I remember, I think it was 1 goal, or he come very close anyway last season. Absolute thunderbolt. He's just got that different quality, I suppose, and yeah, probably is too good for this level. So I guess we'll have to see whether, because I mean, you look with Watford. I mean, a lot of people when they come down would have thought João Pedro, Sarr. You would have thought they would have all went and ended up sticking around for a couple of years. So you just never know. Obviously, if Leeds are going to be stubborn and they've got a valuation, someone has to meet it. Could go down to the last couple of days and then someone just ends up paying it. But it could be a Sarr situation. But I mean, if I was Sinisterra, you look at Sarr. I think he's ended up in Liga now, but he did have offers coming in from Liverpool and all that. It does make you think: do you need to really force the move and take your opportunity whilst you can? I suppose.
Yeah, well, just looking at him now, he actually started the first game against Cardiff, but not involved in the cup, not involved in the second game. So maybe And Gnotto was the same, another young talent that's picking up interest. I think Everton closing in maybe on Gnotto. It could be about to lose. They could lose two of their most creative assets, which I'm surprised to see Poveda still on Leeds books right now. He's might get a
Started the last
yeah. I was gonna say he might get a second life after with us and then with Blackpool last season. Again, business. Replacing these guys, these heavy hitters. Leaving it too late could give the hopes of Poveda and Joe Gerhardt from formerly Wigan chances to step up to the plate. So again, exciting player. It probably shouldn't be at this level. Should be a little bit higher. And again, to be honest with you, with the amount of money they spent last season, I'm quite surprised to see them, back in this championship. And I know they've got rid of a lot of them on loan, with probably the hope that they make it back in the Premier League so that they can come back off a loan and back into the top flight. But if they don't, could be in trouble. Hang on a second. I lost you for a second. But we should. Okay, I think we're back. It was me, my own fault. Anyway, let's kick on forward to the next one. We've got, of course, this guy. This is my tip. His name is Gabriel Sara from Norwich. Also comes with a hefty price tag. I think about 6 or 7 million. Comes straight from Brazil. When this signing was announced last season, I think I was actually gobsmacked because these guys were a championship last season, and the fact that they're bringing a Brazilian, not from, of course, a European side, but they brought him straight from Brazil. And a hefty 6.5 million. Again, we've seen a lot of talent come out of the doors of Carrow Road. Bienda, whatever his name is. Campbell, of course, is decided to go to Scotland, maybe kind of fall from grace. But, a lot of quality comes through those doors at Carrow Road, and they decided to pluck a lot of cash into this young hot shot Brazilian. I think he's, again, 24 years of age, plays in the attacking midfield department. And he's already up and running with a goal and an assist. So as Norwich are unbeaten so far, and again maybe proving me a little bit wrong in my assumption that they're going to struggle. But I think this could be a make or break season for him. I think he's staying. I don't think they'll get rid of him so soon. They bought him in the Championship. They're still in the Championship, so nothing's changed there. I think he's going to have a strong season, and could be the next South American from the ranks that the Norwich have picked up to maybe make that step up to the Premier League maybe next season, whether it is with Norwich or whether it is with a club that comes calling, maybe a Villa, maybe an Everton or something like that. Have you had a chance to see much of him or any of his clips or highlights, or familiar of this young chap?
No, I'm not, to be honest, but I do remember the signing being made and there being a lot of fanfare, as you mentioned, quite a bit of money spent off kind of an unknown, really. But I mean, to get a goal and assist already is, looking good. But this is the way the Championship is going, really, isn't it? Having to tap into these leagues because, I mean, you try and buy a player from League One now, you're looking at a fair bit of change, aren't you? So, I mean, look at Rovers' transfer strategy this season with, exploited the foreign markets with Arna and Sondre as well. Managed to do a bit of savvy business getting Ennis, but as well with the keepers. So that is the way it's going, definitely. And, you have to take a gamble, I suppose. And, I mean, hopefully for Norwich, I suppose it pays off. But yeah, Buendia, as you mentioned, South American, another South American here could be the next Buendia potentially. But yeah, as you mentioned, I think there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't maybe see this guy moving on to Aston Villa or something in a year or two if he rips it up this season, which, I mean, he has the potential to by the
Yep, and just like the Birmingham lad there, 2 for 2 in regards to man of the matches already for Norwich. Your phone's kind of just... Oh, there you're back. So 2 for 2 for him for man of the match. Looking like a great start for him. Great start for Norwich. Maybe a new era. Again, it's a bit of a weird one with their business. Brought in a couple of veterans, Shane Duffy, Ashley Barnes. Who else? Jack Stacey, maybe not necessarily a veteran, but of course, a good mixture perhaps of young, and young and old, and of course, guys like this that kind of blur the lines between the young and the old, kind of in their prime or about to kind of burst on the scene. So I think it's a great start for him, and if he keeps going the way he's going with these stats, I cannot see him not featuring in people's teams of the year at the end of the season. Let's go to I think this is the final one. It's your guy, Keenan Dewsbury Hall, which academy prospect. I think he is. I'm just trying to think now. Out of the five that we've chosen here, actually maybe Nathan Teller. I'm not too sure. But basically coming through the academy. Yes, Nathan Teller did come through the academy. Keenan Dewsbury Hall coming through the Leicester academy, and now. New era, new league, new coach, and gaps in that team made up from the losses of some big stars. This guy seems to be jumping at the bit to kind of be the main focal point. I already looked this morning at Liverpool, already looking at him. So for this season, so it's crazy. It's crazy to think that he could be already making a move to the top tier, even though he was playing there last season. 24 years of age as well. He ain't no young kid no more. It is his moment to shine. Last season, where was he at? Was it Luton, I think, doing bits for them.
Leicester last season.
Oh, right. What was I thinking? That was a couple of seasons ago. He was with Luton. You're right. And of course, flourishing in the Prem as well. He wasn't just like a bit part player. He was regular. He's actually been quite a regular for a couple of seasons, actually. So, it's not like I follow Leicester that much. But still, looking good. A great chance, great position to shine as well. So, what other reasons is he here in your stars to shine or the players to watch for this coming championship season?
I think even last season, other than maybe Maddison and Barnes, I think he was probably one of their better players. Maybe other than them two, the best player. His quality at this level, he proved that a few seasons ago, as you mentioned, at Luton. I think it was during the COVID season. I think he was on loan at Luton, and I think we ended up we either lost or drew to them. And I just remember that game and making an impact on me. Good player at this level for sure, and has already proven that with Luton. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him move on. When a big boy like Liverpool comes knocking, it is hard, obviously, to turn that down. With obviously the unknowns of what could potentially happen this season in the Championship. But if he does stick around, he will be their main man, and he will be a big reason why he will get automatics. Obviously a lot of people are tipping Leicester for automatics, but to lose Barnes, Maddison, and Dewsbury Hall would be a big blow, really. So I suppose we'll have to see, but he's going to be their most creative output, you would think, in terms of just making things happen on the pitch.
Yeah, he's already looking the part as well. So they are our sort of five players to watch this season, or at least our first indications of players to watch this season. Where there were a couple others, Arne Sigurdsson, of course. I didn't put him in the mix because I haven't seen anything of him just yet. But he definitely is from a Rovers point of view one of the most exciting players on our roster or on our sort of a player list this year. So I am also looking forward to him and some other shouts out. Somerville you did mention from Leeds as well. So yeah, there are plenty. So anyone watching at home, of course, make sure you drop your player to watch in the comments. So let's switch over to this. All right, then, of course, now we're going to build up for those match day predictions. And we're going to start, of course, at the top there with Leeds up against West Brom. So I've got your picks in the mix. Can you remember yours, or is this... No, okay. So let's reveal them, of course. So we'll start with the top. Leeds up against West Bromwich Albion. Let's bring up the table here, of course. Leeds, not great start. West Brom bouncing back this past week with their first win. You've gone with a cheeky away win, with West Brom continuing that momentum. I've gone off with a first Leeds win on this one. Explain your method to your madness for this first one.
Yeah, I just don't think that Leeds squad is settled right now. I think we don't know who's coming or going, really. Obviously, Nonto, Sinistera, Somerville's just got injured. I think that's three massive blows. to the match day squad, and I think obviously they nicked that draw at Ellen Road. What isn't a great sign really when you're having to nick a draw at home, and then to go to Birmingham and lose. Oh, it was a 1-0 penalty loss, but nevertheless, I mean, I would have expected something a bit more from them. So, I mean, West Brom have just got a good result, 3-2 at home, 3-0 up, as you mentioned. So, I think they could maybe get something here. I wouldn't be shocked to see a draw, but yeah, I'm not seeing it with Leeds at the minute, but I suppose they are due to win.
They are due a win, and I'm just looking at the recent form between these two guys. West Brom's last win was at least back in November 2018. It's actually been 5 games without a win over Leeds. Leeds, of course, winning 4 of the last 5, so pretty good. And a quick look at the bookies on this one: 11-10. Leeds are favoured. 14-5 is the West Brom. So that's, of course, I'm sticking with Leeds. I think it's got to come soon. Yeah, you are right though, and I'm kind of considering my redoing my prediction, but because of the unsettledness, there is a major unsettledness, and Notto I think will be the player one of the big boys to go this week. It could be the start of a few. Harrison as well, I read. Being linked with, I can't remember who it was, but maybe Everton. I think it could have been an Everton move. So there could be a few more big players, and again, get that transfer window shut, secure the services of your Bamfords and your whatnots, your Milers or whatever, and then you'll know who's there to battle on and try and get you out of this for the first time. So where is my mouse? Next up, we've got Plymouth Argyle against Southampton, a bit of a south coastal affair here. You've gone with an away win for the Saints. I've gone with a draw. Tricky place to go. Still a long place to go, even though they're both down the south coast. Yeah, why? You're back in the Martin ball in preference to Schumacher style.
Yeah, I think Plymouth will put up a good fight, but I just think Southampton may be a bit too much for this Plymouth side. I mean, they've obviously got goals in an abundance, as we've seen today yesterday rather, against Norwich. And obviously a decent away win starting the campaign against Sheffield Wednesday. But again, I mean, Plymouth have got a decent draw against Watford, so they could prove me wrong here. If they do get anything from this game again, I'll be a good indicator of where Plymouth are going to be this season, I think.
Yeah, it's not the easiest of starts for Plymouth, but they are starting brightly and positively and nicking something at least. They're comfortable winning the opening day and a great result against Watford, and I think it will continue. I think it will continue a little bit. I'm not expecting them to be the best team on the day, but I just think it'll just be tough for Southampton. Again, it is a new era for Southampton, and I think eventually they will start to dominate the league. I think Plymouth are going to play Southampton at a good time, where the recent run of events for Southampton, they're going to probably lose James Ward-Prowse officially this week as well. Maybe Lavia as well, because the Casado deal looks like it's out of Liverpool's hands. And I think Chelsea now seem to be the preferred thing. So another two key players from midfield, which may have domino effects for the likes of Swansea, maybe even Rovers, Grimes, Travis, are players that have been linked with potentially filling those gaps. So I don't think Southampton are just settled right now. They will be okay. They will be, of course, up there, but I just think Plymouth will be all right. Must-win game, I think, at the Stadium of Light. Those Sunderland against Rotherham United, both sides looking for a result. And of course, both sides currently just outside the drop. You've gone with a win for Sunderland, so have I. 2-0 win. But hey, I thought Rotherham, I don't think they were great against Rovers. I think they were just clinical. They took their chance with the mistake from Smodic, and the other goal was a good goal. That set piece was something, I don't think many keepers would have stopped that. So I haven't really seen too much of Sunderland just now, but this has to be the first win for Sunderland, for Tony Mowbray, right?
It has to be, doesn't it? I mean, you're not going to get many easier games at home this season, you would think. So, I mean, the penny just has to drop, I suppose. As you've mentioned, Rotherham very clinical against Rovers, but if you're taking a notice of XG, the XG showed that we were the better side. Obviously, we had a higher XG than we actually scored. I think we got 2.6, something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a game. I was tempted to maybe go for a draw, just because obviously there's something just not right there at the minute. You would think at Sunderland with the first two results anyway, you would have expected them to at least get something. But yeah, 2 losses out of 2, and they're desperately needing something.
Yep, I'm also, of course, backing you on that one as well. 2-0 win in my eyes. Next up, we've got Blackburn Rovers gets Hull, game of the day at Ewood Park. Both you and I sticking with our positivity with Rovers. You've gone with a 2-1 win, I've gone with a 1-0 win. Again, Hull looked good, 4-2 win over Wednesday, but it is Sheffield Wednesday. Of course, they did lose their first match. Rovers got out of jail, I think, against Rotherham. I honestly, if that mistake for Smodic, I still think we probably would have won that game. I think we would have won 1-0. They just, they took their chance and they managed to galvanise, and then second half really didn't. They got their second goal. I feel Rovers will have the momentum and their wings from that to fight back. Again, it's just Rovers' way. I don't think they're going to blow anybody out of the water. Just a 1-goal margin, and I'll probably even fancy Smodic getting another one. What about you?
Yeah, I think as you've said, the 1-goal margin just seems to be the way we get results, doesn't it? Really, when we're getting a win, we're just grinding a 1-goal lead out. I think Hull have proven that they've got some quality up front. Delap and whatnot. The guy who's just got a hat trick for them against Sheffield Wednesday. So I can see them nicking a goal, but I would just like to think that at home we should have enough to really see out a win against Hull. It's one on paper. You're thinking before the game we need to win this. Not a must win by any means, but it's one I would fancy us to win, and I think most fans would as well. So I suppose we'll say, but I wouldn't mind a high scoring affair if they wanted another kind of similar result as they got to Sheffield Wednesday, as long as we come on the good side of it.
Yeah, of course, last season we could only muster a 0-0 at Ewood, so we owe them one. Actually, doesn't seem to be many goals in this in the past. A couple of goals here, there, everywhere, but nothing crazy. So we could be right with such a small scoreline. Bristol City against Birmingham City, Battle of the Bees in Bristol. Again, both sides starting off brightly so far. Both, I think, unbeaten. 4 points out of 6. You've gone with a draw. I've gone with a win for Bristol City. I think at home it's a tough place. It's Bristol City to go. Birmingham. I don't think that They did a great result against Leeds. Don't get me wrong. I just feel this one's going to be a little too soon for them. I think if the game was flipped around, I probably would have backed Birmingham to get something. But I've got Bristol City just edging it and keeping up their great start to the season. And with breaking the back of August. You could probably even put Pearson in the mix already for Manager of the Month with the results so far. But you've gone with a draw. Again, it's not a bad result. Birmingham will remain unbeaten if that was to be correct. Explain your logic.
I just anticipate Birmingham to ride this high right now, really. Bristol have just responded well to losing Alex Scott, to be fair, but I do question how long that's going to keep up. It is such a huge loss that. Obviously, Bristol drew opening day against Preston. So, I don't know. I suppose we'll see. I was tempted with a Bristol win, but I just feel like the momentum and the feel-good factor around Birmingham right now could prove to come good, and I think they'd take a draw away from home at Bristol.
Next up, we do have the Neil Warnock derby. It's Middlesbrough, it's Huddersfield, and it is already what could be dubbed a 6-pointer down the foot of the table. Got to be, really, hasn't it? Got to be a home win. I'm not even, let's reveal it right now. Come on then, thinking about it. There. Oh no, you've gone with a draw. Surprise! Wow, I've gone with a 1-0 win. Even with or without Chuba Akpom, they've got to win this one. If not, then there's going to be some sirens going around the riverside. But a draw. I don't even know if a draw was going to be good enough for Carrick, because they have been known to be a little bit trigger happy if things don't go right early doors. Warnock was and maybe he has a point to prove to the owners, Gibson or whatever his name is, at Middlesbrough. So yeah, you could be right, but I think it's going to be not a coin flip. It's just going to be a very fine sort of margins, and this could be the win that starts Middlesbrough season. But if you're right, it could be the game that sends alarm bells ringing around the northeast of Tyneside, Teesside, whatever they call it up there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely if Carrick doesn't get a win, or God help him if he lost this game, I mean, definitely alarm bells going at that point. As I mentioned before, I just think there's a massive hangover right now. This would be the game to get the monkey off the back, but I mean, Huddersfield haven't got any points as of yet, have they? So I don't know. I mean, it didn't even factor into my thinking about, obviously Warnock was manager there last season, but you know full well he's going to be very much up for this one with a point to prove, as you've said. And just see them frustrating Middlesbrough. And it just seems like they're in that run of form right now, Borough, where Huddersfield at home should be an easy game, but could be a very much tricky one with the way Warnock likes to play his football.
Yeah. It's definitely spicy is the word on my brain right now for that game. And again, could have long-lasting ramifications for Borough, and again, it could be an ugly week and that's why this division is so crazy. They lose Chuba Akpom this week. They're going to be in the striker market. As we are trying to find a bargain out there. It's everyone's after them. Sunderland are after them. Middlesbrough are going to be after them. It looks like it. One team that doesn't look like they need one is Leicester City, of course. Cardiff also picked up a couple of strikers, but they both go at loggerheads this coming weekend. Cardiff just a 1 point from 6. Leicester, of course, 100%. Looks like we must have both gone the right way on this one. Yes, both on 3-0 as well. This could be one of those games where it could be a sort of a humongous golfing quality. Even though Cardiff have been active, Josh Bowler, they've got Aaron Ramsey, they've got a couple of strikers, and Ugbo even scored, I think, the other day, yesterday. So they've invested, but this could be just something else here.
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, losing to QPR at home is a massive blow, really, isn't it? Especially with the current state of QPR under Ainsworth, obviously coming off the back of that Watford result as well. I mean, surely a lot of Cardiff fans must have thought it would have been a walkover, really, a formality that game. But to lose 2-1 in your own backyard to probably the weakest side in the league right now, you would think is a massive shock. And obviously coming up now against potentially the best side in the league in Leicester away from home, you do just see this being a walkover. But they've got the players that can make a difference. Your Aaron Ramsey, your Josh Bowler. But I think Leicester are just going to have a bit too much quality at home.
Yeah, and again, I don't even think they've really got going, Leicester. I think they're just, again, finding a new style and just getting the results. I think one team or a team, when it does click, could be on the receiving end of something, and this could be an early indication of that. Next up, we have, of course, that QPR. Can they make it 2 wins out of 2 in your eyes against Ipswich? No, you've gone the other way. You've gone with table toppers Ipswich. I've gone with QPR and Gareth Ainsworth. I think I'm not saying the monkey's off his back, but I just think it's they're not going to win pretty. They're not going to win, with much convincingness. But the set piece here, there, and everywhere in a tight game that they'll park the bus at a Loftus Road. I think this could be. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just going to make sure. I think it's their first home game of the season in the league. So they haven't even played the Carabao Cup yet. That's at that point though. They have got a midweek game against Norwich at Loftus Road this week, so they're playing catch up with their game. So first league game, I don't think they're going to lose it anyway. But you've gone big on the high flying tractor boys that we now know in Ipswich.
Yeah, I think they're riding a high right now, as I mentioned before. I think it's a really good result for QPR, that. But I don't know. I think Ipswich, with the current form, will just prove to be a bit too much QPR. But as you've said, it's their first home game in the league. Obviously, they'll have that game against Norwich just before it, but first home game in the league, and it kind of feel like a fresh start, I suppose, after that away win, won it. So maybe a new lease of life to QPR. I suppose we'll see, but I just think at this moment in time, with the way Ipswich are, I can't see it being QPR to end the streak. I'll be
Well,
honest.
we shall see. Imagine if it is. Imagine if it's lowly QPR that break this long-running streak. Two, well, I would say two. Let's actually Preston off end, looking, all right. Good response from them with the big win this past week. Sheffield Wednesday not really involved or not really moving at the moment. But this could be the game that changes things for them. Again, just trying to get that first win. They're a massive club. They have a massive following. Hillsborough can be a very tricky place to go. Can they do it against Preston North End? In Jacob's eyes, it's a draw, just like me. I think a point in the bag, perhaps, to get them moving. It might be the catalyst to get their season started. I think they just need to not lose a game, I think, at this moment in time, just to get the wheels of motion or momentum started. But Preston, on the flip side, they're up and running up to 8th at the minute, unbeaten so far, which of course please Ryan Lowe. Yeah, in your eyes, they're gonna remain unbeaten with this game.
Yeah, I think with Sheffield Wednesday, obviously with all the stuff with Darren Moore or whatever, they're playing catch up, aren't they? I think this should be a decent enough game for them to get something from. Preston have shown that they're a decent side. I mean, it's a good win that against Sunderland, probably the right time to play them for, you would think. And a decent result away at Ashton Gate on the opening game. But as you've said, it's not an easy place to go, Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday have proved they've got a few goals in the team, a couple away at Hull, one against Southampton. So yeah, I think 2-2 will be a tasty game, and I think Preston would take that, maybe. I mean, obviously, Sheffield Wednesday with nil point at the minute, so maybe they'd fancy themselves for a win, but I suppose
We
we'll
will
see.
definitely see. Next up, Stoke against Watford. Let me have a look at these other ones. I don't know. I was going to try and label this as the game of the day, but I think there's other more tasty ones. But it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one for Stoke. Doing all right so far. Watford looking to bounce back after a surprise draw against Plymouth. You've gone with where are we? You've gone with a win for nobody. You've gone with a draw. I've gone with an away day win for Watford. Again, I'm a big Ishmael fan. I do think Stoke are going to be an awkward team, as they always are. They're just kind of, you don't know what you're going to get with Stoke, and I guess that's why you've gone with the draw. You just don't know. But I just feel Watford, we'll find an opportunity to break Stoke down. And again, that'd be a strong result if it proves to be right. But you're playing a bit on the fence with this one.
Yeah, I just don't know with Watford right now. Obviously, to smash QPR 4-0, what looks a better result after QPR have kind of bounced back against Cardiff, I suppose. Kind of proves that QPR have a bit about them, I suppose. But then to draw 0-0, 0-0 at home to Plymouth. So yeah, I don't know. And obviously with Stoke, had that really good first win as well, but then coming off the back of a poor result now as well in the last game. So yeah, I'm just calling it evens with this one. Obviously it's a hard place to go, as you've said, Stoke. So I'll just sort of say for a 1-1.
Which could be a good way to do it. Into the final couple here, Swansea City. Again, more towards the drop than the top, with just the 1 point so far, up against the Coventry City, who bounced back, and new signing had you right, getting his first goal. You've gone with an away win for Coventry. I've gone with Swansea, so one of us could be right. I don't know. Against Swansea at home, is much more difficult to beat than Swansea away. And Coventry City, I just think they're still adapting to the new life again. Gustavo Hamer. I know Gustavo Hamer has already left pre the game against Borough, but major loss for them. And of course they won convincingly against Middlesbrough, and maybe it's kind of contradicting to what I'm about to say, but I still think Gustavo Hamer is going to be a major loss for them. And of course, but again, Coventry at home, you bank them on this one. I just feel it's going to be a rough week. I don't even know if there are plans in place for a Hamer replacement, or they're just going to ride with the current crop of players. It's just been changing of the tides, new era again, and a lot of new pieces that are going to have to adjust their style. So I just think that Coventry are going to be very hit and miss. Sometimes we'll see stuff like we just saw. Other times we'll see more like a stodgy result against a tricky opposition like Swansea. But you are backed Robbins and Ellis Sims to Farham, maybe with the big 3-pointer.
Yeah, I think obviously the first game against Leicester, one of the hardest away days they're going to have. Obviously, a grudge match between the two. Can't be too upset with losing that game. But equally, they've just had a really good win against Middlesbrough. But is this the right time to play Middlesbrough? You would think so. So this could be the first real indicator of how Coventry are going to do this season. As I've said, I don't rate Swansea that highly, but if they were to get a result on the road, that is a really positive result in my eyes anyway. And I think they could have enough to do it. But I think, like I've said, I think we'll know what Coventry are getting this season after this result, with the first two games being weird games, really, I would say.
Well, yeah, well, at least one of their big money signings, Haji Wright's getting up and running with his first goal. Ellis Sims still trying, I think, get his first goal. I don't think he was amongst the scorers this past weekend. So again, that mental block perhaps could be looming for him. And again, just getting that first goal up and running could be the difference maker between success and failure for these big, high, expensive players. The wrapping it up here, of course, Norwich against Millwall. Millwall, fantastic result against Borough opening day. Stinker this past weekend. Norwich so far, against my better judgment, I think one of the teams to avoid right now, scoring, I think their highest goal scorers alongside Southampton with 6. However, the most goals conceded as well, bar Wednesday. And QPR and whatnot. But you've gone with a win for Norwich. I've also gone the same. Initially, I wasn't convinced by Wagner, but so far it's done okay. The results, or the fixtures, I'd say, have been nice. That Southampton result, massive, going to St Mary's again. I think when you look back at the fixture list reveal and the release days of the fixtures and whatnot, I think playing some of the big boys or the awkward opposition first can work out for you quite nicely. Norwich, if Norwich were to play Southampton when they're in their full stride, maybe in like a November or a December, then I think that scoreline wouldn't be as close as 4-4. And again, that might not benefit Rovers. I think we play again. Rotherham last season was a horrible game for us. Playing them at probably a time they were trying to secure their championship status, and then now we played them early. You would think that we could get a result. So I think when they're looking at fixtures when they're released is a good time to play certain teams. And Norwich have felt the benefit of that by playing a big team such as Southampton. And again, continuing, sorry, I'm rambling on. Now against Millwall at home should be continuing that momentum with a home win, like you said, 2-1.
Yeah, I think again Millwall playing Middlesbrough first game, right time to play them at the minute. Good win, don't get me wrong, but as they've obviously just they've lost another game, then kind of takes the shine, I suppose, off that away win, doesn't it, a little bit? And then obviously losing at home, what's a big shock. Norwich looking positive so far. looking like one of the sides, as you mentioned. So I think they may just have a bit too much for Millwall, who, as we know, don't usually do that well away from home. So yeah, I'm going to go with a 2-1 win. It'd be always going to be a hard game against Millwall, so just a goal between them.
Yeah, and again, we're not really seen. I don't think we've seen Norwich at their full capacity. Josh Sargent. I think he may have got a goal in the first game. I'm not sure, but some of the bigger players have yet to really make their mark. But where's my mouse here? Okay, is that right? That's right. If you're right and I'm right, this is what the table looks like after match day number. Hang on a minute. I didn't put yours in here. You have to give me a second. I will be turbo. I'll be turbo on this. Let me go back.
All right.
This takes me a minute here. Oh, come on. I thought I did this. You want it? Okay, we are just about. Okay, we're back. All right, so if you'll get all your predictions spot on the nose, this is what the table would look like. Of course, on the right hand side is Jacob's. Mine is on the left. You have Ipswich top of the table with Leicester in second. Then you have a playoffs of Norwich, Southampton, Blackburn, Rovers, and Coventry. And you have going down Cardiff, Borough, and Rotherham at this point. On my side, I've got Leicester top, Watford in second, Norwich up there in third, Rovers up to fourth in my eyes, Bristol City, and then Ipswich, the Tractor Boys, in sixth. Going down Cardiff, Rotherham, and Huddersfield. So, a little bit of similarity there, maybe with Cardiff and, of course, Rotherham. And, of course, everyone is backing Leicester to do very, very well. Both you and I, 100% success rate. Again, as always, it's going to be a tasty week of the Championship, and nothing is guaranteed in this division. 1 second, one more. We'll switch to this one. Maybe adjust myself one tick. But any closing thoughts about this coming week and maybe the week just gone by in the Championship from you?
Yeah, I think again we're going to see more from some of these teams, see where they really are. I think, as I've mentioned, Coventry is going to be a decent one. I think Sheffield Wednesday, another one that'll be interesting to keep a lookout on. And as well as Rovers and Hull, really, I mean, to see where this whole side is really at. Are they going to be a dark horse side this season? Are they going? I mean, if they come to Ewood and get another point, then at the minute, probably a decent result, I guess. But yeah, we'll have to see more twists in the Championship tale.
Yeah, of course, a couple of make or breaks as well with Sunderland looking for their first victory, Middlesbrough looking for their first victory as well. Could we expect a first sacking from the result of this? Could it be this soon, or do you think that's a bit too crazy to say that the manager could lose his job before the month is out?
I think that'd be a bit too early, but I mean, if it was to be on anyone right now, you would think it would maybe be Mowbray. Just if they were to lose again at home, I think that'd be a massive shocker. And obviously, a game against Rotherham that on paper is a must-win, really, especially at this point with not having any points up on the board. But I mean, as we've said, as the owner's already kind of made his mind up with Mowbray, as that kind of got in his head a little bit in the squad's mind, if they're thinking this guy's already 1 foot out the door, playing Bradley Dack up top apparently. I guess we'll see.
And it will cause some ramifications and maybe even a domino effect with other managers. Nobody wants to be the first to go and nobody wants to be the first to pull the trigger, I guess. But if both sides, Sunderland and Middlesbrough, lose, I think definitely the clock is on, and definitely the spotlight is going to be up at the northeast. I think Rotherham has a bit of time. I think QPR bought himself, and Ainsworth has bought himself a bit of time. But yeah, definitely I think the spotlight is shifting dramatically. And again, it's only early days, first 2 games of the season. I don't know how did Middlesbrough get on in the cup. I know Sunderland are out, so it's technically 3 games without a win, even though it's penalties. But yeah, it's concerning. But we'll be back, of course, next week, and maybe we'll talk about some of the ins and the outs, because I do expect this week to be quite busy, because again, the majority of the Championship sides are not in action. Just I think Norwich, QPR with that catch-up Carabao Cup game. So I think there'll be a lot of transfer activity, ins and outs. Chuba Akpom maybe want to go. Maybe some of the Leeds cronies. So we'll do a bit of that next week and talk about the holes that have been created, or maybe some of the shrewd business that's been done. But appreciate it again, Jacob. Again, we'll be back. EFL's fine. Subscribe, thumbs up, and all that kind of stuff. But we're out of here. So I am going to